Finding love in your heart after a parent dies. As I would normally be blogging this week, I must give up my stage to my beautiful daughter Lexi and her remarkable tribute to her father. If you've read any of my blogs, you know my first marriage was very trying, and I became a single mother when Lexi was very little. Her father became estranged from her, and she dealt with a lot of emotions of abandonment in regards to her father. He died last year. The following is where Lexi is today, and her father in heaven. These are her words. 9/11 gives me all the feelings and emotions. Dad, I can't believe it has been a year since I got that phone call. The phone call I knew I would get, but not this early and not within 6 months of having my first baby boy. It was hard for me in a million ways because the fact was I was extremely hormonal and pregnant, but I was also struggling with the worst bout of anxiety and OCD that I have ever experienced, which I feel like you would have been able to relate with me on that. Those 23 years were a huge mix of emotions for me as far as what we called our relationship. I felt anger and I felt guilt. I felt left with no answers, yet I felt I totally understood you. I wanted to forget you, yet when I'd see you, I felt so much love for you. For 10 years, I just wanted to hear your voice and see you again for closure, yet right before I reunited with you, I wanted to back out because selfishly, I knew it would be easier. What I see now, but wished I understood during those years, is that you were absolutely the best dad you could be. I wouldn't be where I am now without you. I've learned that what seems like hardship and setbacks are really just a part of God's bigger plan for us. We weren't in each other's lives much because it wasn't supposed to be that way. You protected me from having to see your struggles because you knew it wasn't good for me to be around you and be in that environment. You were fine with Mom moving me to Texas, not because you didn't care, but because you cared so much and wanted me to have a life you knew you weren't able to provide for me. Because you weren't the conventional dad didn't mean you weren't a dad to me. I've seen that the picture that I painted in my head as the conventional dad isn't always what it seems. I've also seen that when parents get divorced, that the children don't always get screwed up because of it. Because we went 10 years without seeing each other, as a young girl, I was able to paint the picture of who you were in my mind, which was a positive, because God knew that it would have been harder if you were in my life every day at that time. I do feel like you left too early. I wish Ty could have met you, and I especially wish you could have met your beautiful grandson, Levi James. But I absolutely know that you are shining up in heaven and with us and protecting us every day. I have mentally been such a stronger person since Levi has been born, and I truly believe it is all because you're with me now and being that protecting patriarch that you can now be since you're in heaven. I thank God every day that you're my first father, and I have life because of you, and I'll always be strong because of you. I'm sorry our last encounter here was not a great one, and I couldn't make your celebration of life last year, but I know that you understand and still love me no matter what. I will never forget the time you told me that I'm your only little girl and that you were so proud of me, and that you and Mom brought me into this world, and after those 10 years you looked at me like I was the best thing you had ever seen. And that's the dad I remember. Levi and future babies will know they have a grandfather here on earth, but will also know they are extra special because they have a grandfather that protects them from above. As a mother that went through all those years and tears with Lexi, there is nothing more heartwarming than these words. Lexi's father was a wonderful man who couldn't kick some demons. God put Todd into my life to give me Lexi. I loved Todd deeply in the beginning, and I would be nowhere without God's blessing, and the biggest blessing being Lexi. If you are suffering with an estranged relationship in your life, remember this struggle is for a purpose. God has placed you there for a reason. Sit silently and ask God where He is leading you. How are you to learn from this relationship? and then trust His plan for you. I pray every day for those suffering with a broken heart from an abandoned parent or suffering from addiction like Todd did. I pray for God to touch and heal those suffering and to know He hears these prayers. One of my favorites Bible verse is Matthew 5:4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Nothing but God's blessing, love, and grace I wish for you, Lolo.